And we're live.
Hey,
we are.
right.
And we're live on this pre-recording.
Yeah.
And we're here. Hey.
Yes. And we're alive, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. We're also alive.
Hello. Yes, we are alive.
Well, we're just going to do a half hour because we're doing a test recording. Kerem, Charles, do you want to explain where we've been and what we're doing?
We, much like most of the world, are currently in lockdown in separate parts of the southeast. Because you guys are in London, aren't you?
Our own little Anderson shelters that we've hunkered down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Other shelters are available.
I made the right decision, I feel, and I fled out of the city into the countryside to see out the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, as they did in World War 28 Days Later. Yeah, you got it right. You followed the film.
I followed the government regulations of shoot them in the head.
Yeah,
or separate. Destroy the brain.
Yeah.
That's where they
burn them. Yeah,
and burn the corpses. This is all government policy.
And what about the zombies?
Yeah, and we're all on Skype now. And so while we've been getting our mics delivered, so it sounded sort of reasonably professional to help Kerem out. We are basically doing a test recording. One, to let you know we're alive, because that's been a big thing.
Because we've had literally dozens of letters asking, are we okay?
Yeah.
Both our fans were very upset.
Had literally wands of people asking, what's going on,
double
guys?
digits. So we're all on Skype with our mics that have just been delivered, and Kerem has now mastered us all speaking at the same time and recording, but we're not too confident about it, so we're just going to do a short recording today, get it all uploaded, make sure it all sounds fine before we the hilarity continues onwards and upwards.
So that was the show for this week, guys. Goodbye.
Anyway, we'll see you next week. This is a free podcast. Remember, this is a free podcast.
Yeah.
Before the letters come through.
For the premium stuff, you got to pay.
Yeah, so this is us back. Ooh, you're listening to the Vialucci podcast on 671 FM.
God.
We've gone professional, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see from my radiator behind me, this isn't a prop. To give the illusion of like being at home. This is a real thing.
Yes, for those of you listening audio only, Theo's in. Yeah. Are you in the office?
No, that was you in Macintosh. That doesn't work. It's the actor, don't worry.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I was doing a joke about I look like him. Doesn't matter. It's a pun.
No, you look like the general from Stargate.
Da, 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 da. Is that the right film?
No, that's Star Wars.
That's my one reference. That's my go-to stars thing.
What, Darth Vader? I look like that fella. Who's that fella?
Right,
Darth Vader.
Maybe when they take his helmet off in Return of the Jedi.
Yes, I've been going through the Star Trek things whilst the boredom and people aren't answering. So I'm on to about the fifth one. It's getting the last one was pretty hard to get through. It was the one where they go back to what's when they had the potato guns and all that prohibition.
Yeah. You mean the series, not the film? So
yeah. Because they had the set, didn't they? They had like that. They had some costumes. Apparently, they had some costumes left over from like a gangster show or something. Right. Yeah, and that's why they did Nazi episodes. They did a couple of Nazi episodes because they had the costumes from like the World War II thing.
Well, yeah, there's quite a few episodes where there was like, and this culture evolved to just happen to be exactly like the Nazis or the Romans or the Greeks.
But the badge was a little bit different.
Yeah. And it's just that they've got that stuff on the set. They got that set or those costumes in the studio. Yeah.
Well, they had no money.
Oh yeah.
But it's the whole time Kirk starts doing his impressions of them, like talking like they do, like hey, see, all that sort of stuff. The whole time you can see he's trying to not smile, like he's trying not to laugh as he's doing it. But it's just like, what is this? Like, this is
but they must, you must at times go, this is just very silly.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They must have known at the time. This is fucking mental. This looks ridiculous. Yeah. The monsters. I mean, my favourite quote out of the whole thing when Kirk's trying to get the doc. There's a thing that can move through rock and it catches people, kills people really quickly.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
No kill eye.
Yeah.
Kill eye. Yeah.
And the guy. Oh, well done, Charles. I
know my Star Trek.
The guy when he says to him, because he's supposed to be made out of what's the chemical? Not ceramic, but something like that. Stone.
Silicon or something, isn't it?
Yeah, silicon.
Silicon-based.
And he goes, you've got to do something because he shoots it and a big chunk comes out of it that looks ridiculous. And he says, you've got to help him. And he goes, I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer.
Yeah. Those are always great.
Oh, but they play it so seriously. It's like, it feels like if it was done by like 13-year-olds, Do you know what I mean? They're just doing everything on the cursory level.
Yeah, but that's because of the time difference.
Proper actors in.
Like this
it's camp. It is campy, and I think that they are kind of on some level they are kind of vaguely aware of the camp level to it. But it is
Batman.
Yeah. Like Batman 66.
Yeah.
But it's madness. It's like I'm watching it and I feel like it is a car crash. That's essentially. I don't know why I'm watching these things, but I'm on the 5th and 6th one now, and I don't know how to stop.
Charles, probably every day, certainly every other day, I've been getting updates. Have you been getting them as well?
Yeah. Just about. I've been getting little videos like Pigman and stuff.
Charles has had a lot more equanimity than Andrew. Andrew seems to agree with me, but Charles is sort of like, well, it was the 60s, and I think I'll forget him.
But the ideas shine through. There's ideas there, man.
Yeah, some of those episodes still hold up, though. I do think.
Yeah. There's something every sort of third one feels a bit like, oh, that was all right.
And then you get something like
made out of wire wool or something like that.
Or you get Spock's brain and you go, whew.
Yeah.
Again, good idea, but they're not a very good idea.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I've been watching Star Trek just to pass the time. What have you been doing, Charles, to pass the time?
You know what? The days aren't long enough. I don't know what I do. I sort of wake up, potter around, go for a walk, and then all of a sudden it's like
Potter.
9 o'clock. It reminds me of like a long time ago when I was unemployed and just didn't have any money. I'm like, You've reverted to what your training. You've reverted back to your basic training. Unfortunately, yeah. I'm just like, hey, this just feels like when I was unemployed. But now everyone is doing the same.
And what have you been up to, Andrew?
Looking for work. So
do you qualify for that universal? You're self-employed, aren't you?
So there's a lot of the work I do is through an umbrella company, so it's PAYE. So they're they can get us furloughed, but I'm sure this is fascinating for people. But basically, with the way umbrella companies work, because obviously you don't have a set wage, because you could be working for one employer and then another, you're basically paid on the basis that it's national minimum wage, and then anything else is classed as bonus and commission.
Yeah.
So. And bonus and commission is not covered by the furlough, so they're 80%. They're going to offer us 80%. The government want to offer us 80% of our of national minimum wage rather than our average earnings, which is what the umbrella company.
Why did you go through the umbrella company rather than just going self-employed?
Because at the time I had, because when I first joined that umbrella company, I still had a full-time job, so it was just for when I was doing extra work, because there was no point doing limited company work.
So you just stayed with it, that's all?
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought I looked at the options, but there's been all this back and forth about IR35. Again, fascinating stuff for people.
Let's get out of this.
I mean, I've also been enjoying all your text messages, your rages. About there was the Bane one I particularly enjoyed.
What was that now? I can't think. What was I saying?
I'll have to
go easy. Make sure you edit it before you say anything.
No. It was it was so good. You'll have to talk amongst yourselves while I try and find the message.
Well, I like the set design you've done behind me, Charles. It looks good. It looks like a normal house. You've sort of you've put the apple.
Yeah, it looks like a show kitchen.
It's all blue screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was thinking it looks like a poster from a kitchen showroom.
Yeah, he's on a green screen. He's he's actually in like an alley, using the PC World's Wi-Fi.
You think that's fruit? It's all plastic, mate.
Yeah. I'm expecting Jamie Oliver to just walk in behind you and start sort of crushing garlic.
No. Right.
You live with your mum?
Yeah, currently, yeah.
Okay. So, you got headphones in, so I can say. I was thinking I better sort of thing myself, so I don't say anything to.
It's fine.
Okay.
Nah, I sent her away. It's fine.
Okay. I locked her down. I've tied her down.
Stand out in the garden for a few hours. I'll call you. I'll signal you when it.
Yeah, she's tapping at the window. Can I come back in? And that chimney, the thing you've got, the oven. That's the cleanest I've ever seen. I've never seen one of them. Usually they're like black with filth. Look how clean. It actually looks like a prop from Star Trek. If you just move to the side, like in the spaceship, I'd expect it looks like. Yeah, I could see that in there. There's somebody talking into it.
So here's an example of one of the messages I received.
Yeah, be careful.
No, this is fine. This is fine. Just popped into the local supermarket to get some food, thinking people, in inverted commas, would have calmed down a bit now. Queue for the basket till had 23 people in it. Once we're back on air, people are going to get it, both barrels. Bloody animals who are happy to push other people's heads underwater just to make their own lives a little bit easier, just in case. Yeah. Whatever you said Bane did, mate, I'm letting it go. I'm starting to think... People do need to be led by nose rings instead of guided.
Quite easy.
Oh god! And then it goes on and more. It's amazing. There's a few more like
that's
that.
That's when I had to pay like a £5 or something for a load of toilet rolls. I came back in and I was pissed off. And with respect, it was a Turkish shop, so the toilet roll was like sort of wafer thin. Like it's one of them. So usually like a 50p packet was now like
Kerem's
a £5.
Kerem's gonna bleep that bit out.
Yeah. It'll come to that Bulgarian shop, and then back to my voice.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. So, have we got a timer on this? I'm just looking at Skype. Is there a time on the screen anywhere? Am I supposed to be? I'm
not being funny, but where have you got to be?
Oh, I've got stuff to do, mate. Yeah, I've got. No, I can't say. Anyway, so yeah, but I've got to be there at 9. So, what have you been doing other than looking for work, Andrew? Have you learned to play poker?
No, I haven't learned. No. I've not done any learning. I was like, oh God, I've just realised I'm woefully unqualified for any other job other than the one I was doing. Yeah. So, I've just been sort of working on, things I had to, in desperation, I had to go back on LinkedIn, the lowest of the lows, scraping the barrel. I, in fact, found a message from you from years back before we knew each other. Yeah, like a speculative email.
Fucking hell, it wouldn't surprise me. I think I've contacted everybody in the UK at some point to do with something.
Yeah,
like that was my conduit into like the lives of professionals.
Yeah, it was just a message from you. It just said, £10 for lips, £15 for hips.
Yeah. Back, sack and crack.
Lovely.
Oh, was it really? What was the message? What year was it?
Oh, years ago. Because I because LinkedIn is basically Facebook, but under the veil of doing business. Let me see if I can find you. It's so funny. I was like, because I was just clearing through messages. I was like, I don't think I ever replied, like a total jerk.
I didn't. I don't have a LinkedIn, but then it made a LinkedIn for me, and I get messages from it.
Yeah, I think what happens is there's a selection on it where it will do your automatic contact list and send them all out messages saying, do you want to be on LinkedIn or something like that? But you have to click on it to set it up. So you shouldn't have a LinkedIn profile.
Oh, there we go.
Well, I have a profile. For some reason, I have a profile, and it just goes, oh, yeah, like these people want to get in touch with you and shit. And I'm like, I don't remember setting up
You didn't sign up at one point. You should definitely have it set up. Especially when we get the pilot sorted, we'll have the producer, director, writer, award-winning,
I do have an IMDb I need to sort of get sorted. But
oh dear,
fucking IMDb is just.
What happens about that then? When you put something out on air, do you have to go onto IMDb and set up a profile?
Yeah, you could, it's probably worth doing because really? it's the thing that everyone looks at, really. I think.
Really, I've never been on IMDb. I know it says what trailers for films or something, isn't it?
It's a pretty good source for just checking credits and stuff and seeing what people are up to.
But do you update it or does somebody else?
You have to do it, yeah. And it's just the worst laid out website and just the most confusing setup process.
Oh, okay.
It's just not intuitive at all, basically.
Oh,
look, there's my face.
Oh, there we go.
Look at you.
There's your little face.
6, 7 years ago that was.
Yeah.
We've been working on the pilot. We've got quite a lot of that done now. That's sorted. So I was speaking to somebody last night about it. All we need to do is now I'm recording the 2 voiceovers for to send to Kerem, so he can. I'm gonna have to go into the office for that. Actually, use that little code. Listen, the show must go on. The show must go on. Somebody has to carry the show.
You'll have to have a permit. You'll have to have a permission slip.
I have.
Oh, can I go to?
Don't ask any further. I have a permission.
Well, I'm telling you, my housemate had to have had an email on his phone ready to show that he was an essential. So my housemate works for Discovery full time, and obviously most live sport is shut down, but periodically there are still live events. So he has to go in and work on them. So he had to have an email because they thought, in case he gets stopped or whatever.
That's coming. It's coming, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's because people are out and about. And he said he rides through Richmond Park on the way to work, not because for a jolly, it's just that's the quickest way there. And he just said there's tons and tons of people there, just acting like it's any old day.
I haven't got too many problems. You shouldn't be congregating anywhere. You shouldn't be stopping anywhere. That's my thing.
Yeah.
You should be on the move,
but
and
they're
you should
going
only be on your own.
Yeah, but they're going around in groups. They're all huddling. No one's adhering to social distance. But that's why the lockdown happened, because people, weren't adhering to the. I mean, obviously, to be fair, the government advice initially was very contradictory and slightly confusing.
Yeah.
It was like, don't go to work unless you have to. Well, it's like, but don't. We go to work because we have to. Otherwise, we'd sit at home counting our doubloons. So. Funny enough,
just maybe take a few weeks out and just relax. Rely on your share op.
The Queen,
exactly.
Yeah. The Queen was the only one at that point that stayed home.
It's the kind of if you take the Jacob Rees-Mogg view of you can just release some liquidity from your share portfolio to cover the he thinks that's what poor people need to do to get out of there.
Wasn't that genuinely someone's response? I swear, when a Tory MP, they said, well, just maybe you'll have to sell a few shares. Or maybe not go for that Caribbean holiday this summer.
I would hope that was a spoof, but I don't know.
I don't think genuinely. I think it was a cabinet.
No, it was. I think somebody said it. But that's the thing. It's just I'm me. I'm for free speech and fight the man and all that. But every time people let you down. They just go, I don't want to say you've got to be led, but why do you keep making it so that you have to keep putting your boot on your neck before you listen to people in times of crisis?
A friend of mine, she lives in Japan, and obviously Japan was one of the countries hit early on with the outbreak, although they've not had anything like the numbers in terms of infections and deaths. But she said there's no official lockdown. They've been told this is what you need to do. This is what we as a society need to do, and so everyone does it.
Yeah. Well, who was the prime minister? Was it the Filipino prime minister said they'll be shot dead if they're out on the streets?
Duterte says that about everyone. He's got a long murder list now.
Yeah, his list of basically you have to do. It's that scene from Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. If you lie to me, I'll kill you. If I think you lied to me, I'll kill you. He just lists off all these things. In fact, you're going to have to work very hard just to stay alive. That's Duterte. He's insane.
It's like Al Capone. I want him dead. I want his house dead. I want his family dead.
I want his house burned down. I want to piss on the ashes.
Have you been watching anything special since you've been?
Tiger King, yeah.
Oh, the Tiger King. Have you watched it? Have you watched the whole lot?
I'm 3 episodes in.
Yeah, but Charles, by the time it gets to the 5th, 6th episode, it's all completely different all over again. Like it goes off in some weird tangents.
Well, I've just watched the. Yeah, sorry, Charles. Have you watched it?
I watched the first episode, but
that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's just the trailer. That's nothing.
This is what everyone says. Everyone says, "Oh, it just goes. You don't know where it's going to go. It's just
and then things happen. You go, "Oh, this is what they're talking about." And you go, "Yep," and then wait for the rest of it, and you go, "Oh, geez," and then that trailer's onto something else. By the end of it, it's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I mean, I won't say it's sort of. I'm sure you might have seen it, but for people who haven't, because it's one of these things that's all over social media, so you can't not be spoiled by. So
it's the Tiger King on Netflix.
Yeah, and on the 3rd episode, it was almost like, is this about big cats anymore, or is this about murder? What's going on here?
It's who's murdering who? Who murdered who?
Yeah, it's a mini episode of making a murderer. It's something you go, oh, what's happening here? So perhaps once we've all watched it.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Well, I was saying perhaps once we're all, because again I'm only halfway through, we could all have a little chat in more detail about it.
Yeah. Well, definitely, it's something I don't
want to spoil it too much.
There's too much to watch, man, and I've got no excuse now. I used to be like, I'm too busy, but like now it's like, no, I'm too lazy.
It's that funny thing of realizing everyone's at home doing nothing. Hopefully somebody's like, "Let's give me something to do through the day."
Yeah.
So you might be fortunate enough to get a few more regular podcasts until we're out of this ditch that we've all got ourselves in. If people sort their bloody lives out and act like fucking adults. What the hell was that? But
no, it's just because we're laughing. It's because
they won't hear this, will they?
Yeah. So if we suddenly pause or stop or act as if we've been shot, it's because Kerem's good lady wife is because Kerem is recording this for us, but his good lady wife is doing some some cooking or baking in the background.
Or she's murdering him at this point.
Just smashing things with a hammer, to be honest.
We're just casually being like, well, she's making her cupcakes. So we can hear that, you can't, dear listener. But
we're trying to ignore it rather than be professional.
But it sounds like a team of very big lads doing some very hard hard construction work.
Yeah, I think some toffee was being broken there or something. Not a euphemism, but yeah. So.
Right, so let's be professional and pretend we can't, because this is pointless for the listener.
First time for everything.
Yeah. So yeah. So what are we going to do coming up? What do you reckon? We don't have to stick to Sundays anymore now, so we could do 2 a week. Break this, give us some sanity back.
Go wild.
We can catch up on the Tiger Man with Charles. Wait for him to catch up. I'll keep you informed of what's happening on social with Star Trek. How many is there with that crew? Like there's
the original
of them.
Yeah. There's only 2 series.
Oh, it's just 2 series. But it's like 50 in each.
Yeah. I think they did about 60 episodes odd, I think.
I'm wondering, like, when I get into the latter episodes, what are they left with? Like, if the first sort of 5 or 6 is this bad already? What's coming in like the 20th?
Well, it's
when everything's been purple already. We can't use purple skies anymore.
You've got the animated series, isn't bad actually?
Oh, okay.
What, of Star Trek?
Yeah, they did a cartoon, and it's bizarre, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because they've got like weird aliens and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and the animation style is just odd as well, and really janky, and like it just.
I quite like it though.
It's certainly it's a stylistic and kind of unique in its own way or whatever, but it's janky. Come on, and cheap. It just looks like a cheap children's cartoon, you know.
I was referencing old documentaries just to have a look at some, but for any decent documentary, you've got to go back to a time where it didn't mean anything to have a camera crew there. Do you know what I mean? It's just they find these old weird people now. Like since like the 80s and the 90s, people play up to the video camera that's there filming them. But you had them weird old sort of documentaries when they just found these weird people and they really didn't give a shit whether the camera was there or not.
Well, it's also because if you do a documentary, if you're in a documentary film back in the day, as the kids I want to say, it will be seen on its first release, maybe on TV, and that's it. And so no one,
there wasn't the value, the weight to it.
Yeah, I hate to invoke it, but it's a bit like that show Love Island, where the first couple of series, I think it started as a celebrity edition, then they did a couple of series. Hardly anyone was watching it. Twitter and Facebook and Instagram all in their infancy, if they existed at all. So people are getting drunk, they're shagging around on the show, all this kind of, and they're very common on a lot of reality shows. But then once Instagram and the whole idea of being an influencer took off, then everyone's much more polished, much more well behaved,
aware of
don't
it.
Get drunk.
I think that's the problem with every reality TV show is that once you get people starting to go on it who've seen the show, then all of a sudden they sort of know what to expect and they go onto it with a different level. When the first couple of series or first couple of iterations, whatever, of a reality show, always a bit more interesting because people just like, I don't know what the format is and I have no idea what the premise is. So they're going into a bit more blind. But once you've seen it and you kind of know what to expect.
Especially when you see people coming out and monetizing it, like they're a photo shoot and now they're on an interview. Now you go, if I act like a freak, then the more freaky I am, the more I'll be noticed. So you go in there with that.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a documentary about the first Big Brother, and they go back and speak to the people on the original one, and they play. It was on like Channel 4 at like 1 a.m. or something, like late night, and the one was, they showed the clip that where they're sitting on the sofa, and I think it's a mixed race lady in the first series, and she's going, I wonder if anybody's watching this. Like literally said that.
But that was the thing. It was the first. I think I only watched the first couple of years of Big Brother, but that first one was a genuine experiment. There was a lot of, we don't quite know what's going. The producers. I remember even my parents watched the last episode because it was an event.
It was a big deal. It was definitely a big deal. Yeah.
I don't think they'd seen much of the show itself because they were just like, "What is this? What It's one of these. You explain that to someone who's older, and they just would go, "What are you talking about?"
Why would I watch this? Why is this on TV?
But they watched it. They thought, well, we'll watch the finale at the very least to see what it was. And they said, the producers came out and they just looked absolutely knackered. And they were like, "Yeah, we were really quite happy and surprised, looking like they've been in the trenches, necklace of ears around there.
Slimmer, around their necks. Slimmer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just saying, we think we might do it again. But you can imagine that, commissioning a huge ratings hit like that and being like, I guess we'll do it again. Like now, people bite your arm off for that kind of...
It's funny when you try to explain things on paper and you think, I wonder how certain things get made, because on the Ricky Gervais documentary, when they're talking about The Office, and he said, imagine trying to sell that now. He said, a slightly chubby middle-aged guy who works in the office looks smarmy into the camera every now and again. He said, that's basically that's what the show is about, unless you watch the bloody thing. But
I think...
Sorry. No, go.
I think I can't remember if I know we've chatted about this, but I can't remember what you said on a podcast. But I was reading it was a book about the sort of making of Little Britain, and I know people are very sort of critical about the show, but they said the two chaps, Matt Lucas and David Walliams, they'd done quite a bit of radio and whatnot, and they popped up as cameos and obviously in things, and obviously Matt Lucas was George Dawes on Shooting Stars, but they said they just sat down with the commissioning editor and they were just chatting rubbish at her and throwing out catchphrases, but it was all very vague and loose, and we'd have costumes and all this kind of stuff and wigs, but we could reuse, because they were hedging their bets, and but we could reuse them and all this stuff. And she just went, yeah, fine. And then and that ended up being like one of the biggest shows on TV for
whatever. Just stretch it out to half an hour.
Exactly.
Why not?
Just like they said she looked bored and didn't look like she was listening, and then she was
the end of the year on her phone the whole time.
Yeah,
they still had a bit of budget money left. It was like December 3rd. Well, might as well get the money next year. As I said, the person I was speaking to the other day, she said, I'd really like this show. She said, I'd watch it. And she said, and it's the right time for this type of show as well. And I said, bloody right, love. Well, especially with all this corona stuff, but there's a lot of social annoyances with people nowadays, and this is highlighting it. Just to give you a little hint of what the show's about.
You'll be surprised to hear it.
I look wistfully back. I watched something the other day, and they had all these people walking around Times Square. No, where was it? It's Paris. That was it. And I thought, I remember when I used to be able to go outside and do stuff. I go, it seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it? It's like 2 weeks.
But I saw somebody online. I don't know what it was, but he was saying, he said, when you're being annoyed about being online and all that, being stuck inside, he said, remember when it was the opposite, when you were being called up and people weren't coming home. He said that was a problem. Like, you're being called up to go to war and you're not coming home and you're living in trenches and all that.
Yeah.
So it's a modern day to think, well, my problem at the moment is I'm at home a lot. Like, it's nothing really. The financial things are, it's a problem. At least the government is giving people scraps to keep you alive with the bread and water. But it's mad. Oh, I was talking about comic books.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, well, at least we don't have the Luftwaffe on top of this.
Yeah,
we don't have air raids and we're having to be shipped out. We're all going to be shipped out to Normandy.
So it's just, can you at least just stay in for a little bit? That's the struggle. Stay in for a little bit. But I was talking about what I was going to talk about documentaries. It was because we was talking about comics, and there's a comic from, honest to God, it looks like it's from the late 60s, this documentary, but it's about a comic book writer who writes his own comics, but it's called Harry Crumb. Have you heard about it?
Harry Crumb, yeah, he did.
Harry Crumb, yeah.
The documentary. Oh, you've heard about it? I thought you wouldn't have heard about it.
Well, I know of Harry Crumb.
Oh, you know of him?
I know of him because of American Splendor, and so that then kind of led me on to him.
So he is famous, because this was he looked a bit weird. I thought nobody knew about him, this Harry Crumb fella.
He did sort of underground stuff in the 60s and the 70s, but he was a reasonably famous artist. Yeah.
Oh, right. So this documentary, you watch it about him and his brother, and they are like aliens. When you watch it, they're so odd. He draws his own comics, and he gets turned on by his own comics.
Yeah, he's a bit of an odd one.
And you see his brother.
He's like John Waters kind of thing. That's what I think of him. John Waters, the filmmaker.
Oh, okay. What do you do?
Pink Flamingos. Have you seen that?
No.
Where she eats the dog shit off the floor at the end of it?
No. Is that a comedy or what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The odds. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I suppose I would. Yeah. Got Divine Brown in it.
Who's that?
Transvestite person.
Don't you mean Divine? Because I think
Divine Brown is the prostitutes with Hugh Grant. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought I recognised the name. Yeah.
Theo used to be a pimp.
Oh no, there is a difference because I come from that sort of seedy world that having to be around disgusting people. I've said this before on the podcast when these people talk about pimps, and I go, but that sort of fur coat, look at me on a rap video pimp, isn't the sort of pimps that I remember. I remember them being sort of broke scumbags with old hags around them that used to smack them around a bit and used to do a lot of drugs. This thing of pimps being rich, they were just like predators, like sexual predators. That's all it was.
That was one of my favourite stories. You said, when people sing in hip hop about being wanting to be pimps and wanting to be a pimp, and you're like, what? You want to be a sex trafficker?
Yeah, you want to be a broke sex trafficker who beats women up and does drugs and lives in this hole. What are you talking about? But that's the Hollywood.
About the lowest of the low.
Yeah. But I think that's most pimps, to be fair. There's only a few rappers / pimps. But I don't know, were they pimps? You get a lot of that goes on, the people saying, look, that was all made up. He says he's this, but he was never that. A lot of them steal names from people that used to be like on the street people, but then use it as their rap name. Anyway. So, Charles, what else has been going on? Anything exciting?
Exciting. I genuinely haven't been out of my village for about 2.5 weeks now. So, like,
he literally owns the village.
I nearly was going to say you're the only gay in the village, but I thought that might be a bit.
Nah, there's tons of us out there. Don't worry. I'm not lonely. It's
fine. Are you within walking distance of shops? On how villagey is your village?
Yeah, there's like a shop.
How long do you go out for a walk for?
The other day, sometimes quite long. Like I'll go quite far. I could make a couple of phone calls, like towards people. So like 4 hours, I think the other day.
Oh, that's all right. You've gone for a 4-hour walk. That's good. I've got delivered a weighted vest to get out there on the runs.
It's also stab-proof, so
yeah, it doubles up as a bulletproof vest, which is good. Yeah. I think they went out of business as a fitness item, and now they're just as a protective item. It seems to be taken off. But yes, I've got a 20 kilo thing, so I'm going to go start using that.
Get around. Kilo.
I think it's 20 kilo. Yeah, it's quite a big one.
It's like living in a high gravity planet, basically. Yeah, just like drag yourself around.
Yeah, I'm going to. Now, what's the opposite of the moon? What would be that? What does heavy gravity? Pluto? I was going to say Jupiter, but that might be a bit overkill.
It would be one of the big ones, I think, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
the bigger the mass,
size,
the bigger size. I think Mars is slightly bigger, isn't it?
No, Mars is smaller.
No. Slightly smaller, is it? It's around the same size, I know, but I thought slightly.
Yeah, I think it's a third smaller. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, you've got Jupiter is massive, isn't it? So, and Saturn, Neptune, Uranus. Or Uranus and then Neptune. Look at Theo. I can see you trying not to laugh at Uranus.
I nearly held it. If you hadn't said anything, he carried on. I wouldn't have said.
Your butthole. Yep.
Yeah. Planet butthole.
Well, they do say we should rename the Earth as water because there's more water than Earth. So why not do that?
No. Just no.
Although I'm saying that though, it's on the surface is the water, is it? We're still mostly Earth. Do you know what I mean? They say it should be a water planet, but surely that's superficial. It might cover.
Oh, I need a picture of Charles's face.
No, I'm thinking the water may cover more of the Earth, but in terms of Earth, it is more Earth than water.
Yeah. Because the core.
Yeah, there's more rock. Yeah.
Or that's a liquid, so you could, Let's leave it alone for now. Let another generation deal with it.
You'll let that word pass. Yeah. What was the word you weren't happy with earlier? Oh no, it was the phrase, wasn't it? Previously said.
Oh yeah, I was quoting. Well, I mean, we've really reached bottom on the podcast now. If we're talking about words that I said to you, I said a sentence which was I'd previously said to someone or something, and then I thought you can't say previously said because you can't have said anything at any other time than previous. Charles.
Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, you're repeating yourself. I get what you mean.
Yeah, so but I said my response was that the point is to emphasize that you've already said it, either for a comedic effect or to re-emphasize, to affirm a point, a position,
I don't know what
or to be just a little bit passive aggressive, as I previously said.
Yesterday,
yeah, you can say said previously or previously said.
But it doesn't make sense. I don't know why that still doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, Jesus, man. We're still dealing with fiction, non-fiction, so I don't know. Like we're never gonna
Meese and Mouse. Meese with the MIs, yeah.
Again, this is a conversation that no one else heard about. This was just us in a meeting.
Definitely, I don't know how to enter this somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Did you contact the Oxford Brookes dictionaries and say, look, I've got this thing here?
You call up the president of words and just say to him, listen.
Well, there is a word. There's a word, right? Do you know what this word means? Sesquipedalian. You ever heard of that? Sesquipedalian.
No. I'm sorry, what?
Sesquipedalian. Sesquipedalian. Yeah. Do you know what it means?
Nope.
It means using two lengthier sentences.
Yeah,
so why use a word with more letters in it than? I mean, that's a joke. That makes me think there is somebody in charge who's taking the piss. For using dyslexia. How should we spell dyslexia?
It means pretentious word used by pricks. Yeah. Just okay, right.
So dyslexia. Let's make a word for dyslexia. Right. So what should we do? Well, what we'll do is get all the worst letters on the what's the thing where you use the letters? Cluedo. Scrabble. Yeah. Get all the worst letters, bung them in, confuse anyone that's a dyslexic and call it dyslexia. That would annoy him. And they've done that.
I've got a book, not to hand, but maybe for another time. And it's got a word. I can't remember the name of the word, but it means someone who believes in words that are made up, or someone who makes up words. It's something along those lines. But ironically, it's not accepted by all dictionaries. So it could be a hoax. But it's got a really... I can't remember the name of the word.
There's a Twilight Zone in there somewhere. The Twilight Zone episode. I don't know how to get you to come onto my screen. And you keep disappearing. No, they can't talk about this on the podcast. I've just noticed the three of us. We're like the what's the hound of hell? The three heads. Cerberus, yeah. Hydra. That's another three-headed. What is it with the three heads?
Hydra. Yeah.
Hail Hydra.
Yay Nazis.
What is it with the three?
My mate always does that. He does that the whole time. He just leans in, gives us a hug, and we leans in and just goes, "Hail Hydra."
Yeah. Well, there are three of us, so technically we are the Hydra of the podcast.
I know.
Yeah.
It should be Wakanda Forever or something like that.
Well, if you saw him, you'd just go, "Okay, yeah, I can see why." Yeah.
Is it your German friend?
No, he's but he.
Hail Hydra, Charles.
Hail Hydra. Just as a little check thing, just to see the response. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little it's like doing the secret Nazi handshake, you know.
What is the secret Nazi handshake?
Well,
it's a secret.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go to the meetings to find out. Obviously,
fair enough.
There was something popped up the other day, and it was the scene. I forgot. Oh no, was it an X-Men where the guy, the metalhead, who's the one that can do things with metal, who has a metal thing on his head?
Magneto,
yeah.
Yeah, he goes to kill people that had like imprisoned him or something. I don't know which X-Men that was. And there's a scene where he goes into the pub, and there's a two...
Oh, yeah, that's X-Men First Class, where he kills those...
Yeah, well, that scene just popped up, and I noticed it, and I thought it's a very well-done scene. I thought it was like Tarantino or something, because like every moment was important, you know, and the way they were moving, the silence. That was like a well-done scene where he sits down and he goes...
Because he just flips his arm. He just slowly flips his arm over, and you see the tattoo. You see these the serial number tattoo.
What do you do? And he knows who these two guys sat at the bar at, and what he said, one's a pig farmer and one's something else. And he goes,
he's a tailor.
What happened to your parents? He said, well, they were killed by pig farmers and something else. And I thought it's a really well done scene. Like I can't remember the rest of the film.
I would watch a whole film of Michael Fassbender just going around murdering Nazis in Bolivia, to be honest.
Well, that was the original. They were going to do all these sorts of origins films for all the different characters, and that was going to be young Magneto, and then they just decided to skip ahead and do all of them young together.
Right, yeah.
Which is a shame, I think.
I haven't seen that one. Have they knocked all that on the head now, the X-Men?
It's complicated because Disney bought them, so they did release the last one, didn't they? Dark Phoenix, and it was terrible.
And what's the monster? What the superpower of that one? Who's
Dark Phoenix? That's about Jean Grey just going mental and
what's her power?
Telekinesis and psycho thing.
Psionic.
Telepathy and
that's not that big, is it? Is she the main baddie?
Yeah. She's one of the X-Men, but she goes bad.
So what can she do to people with that?
She can literally crush people, pick people up. She can like create
all with her mind
stuff, all with her mind. She can like burn up the world. In the comic book, she ended up destroying stars, like whole stars, and like.
Oh right, okay.
She was like threatening the whole galaxy, basically. So,
yeah. Right. Let's knock it on the head there. Just in case we're not Theo press the record button or something.
His telekinetic powers.
Yeah, I'm going to crush them.
He's like, I need to get me some of those.
Right, so hopefully this is being recorded. This is a test show. And as I said, this is a free podcast. Don't be offended, people. This is a free podcast. You have not been charged for this. So we'll knock this on the head. Hopefully it's all recording and it will go up live online and it'll be fine. And once we know it's recording, we'll then... get something else put in the diary and get an actual show put together for people.
This was still an actual show.
Sorry?
This was still an actual show.
Yeah, I've got no confidence. I'm not following through on any of the subjects, just in case I haven't got the confidence that it's been recorded properly.
Yeah, they don't want to do anything actually good.
Yeah, you don't want to waste one of your Bane rants.
Burn my script
if it's not going to be recorded.
Right, well, we'll end it there. Does everybody know how to turn? Do I just... No, I don't hang up, do I? I just stop the recording.
No, I'll stop the recording.
Oh, Kerem. He's just...
He's there.
This is like Kerem. He's had to listen to all this.
I don't even know if he can...
I can cue in the music.
Oh, right. Okay. So, in a couple of seconds, we're all going to stop. So, I'm just going to say goodbye.
All right.
Charles.
Bye.
Right.
Andrew.
Bye.
And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Stay safe. Don't touch each other.
Yeah. Unless it's at night time. Inside the house.